Hey everybody, it's Tamara from Moogly, and we are hopefully live right now on YouTube. It is December 22nd, 2021. So I'm going to take a moment and hit refresh here on my page. Hopefully see this video so I can click on it. There it is. And there we go. Now I've got the chat up. So today, what are we doing here? We are going to be doing basically an Ask Me Anything holiday edition. So if you guys have any questions about crochet or crafts or, holiday related or not, honestly, go ahead and throw those in the chat. I'll answer as many of them as I can. Meanwhile, I have a really fun unboxing to share with you. And after that, then I'm going to be adding the last square to my Moogly 2021 crochet along blanket. I was putting it together last night. I had one square left to go, and I thought, well, that's the perfect project to work together here while we have our live, so you guys can see exactly how I do mine. I use the tight braid join. It's one of my favorite joins, so I'll be using that. I have been using that for the whole blanket. So of course I'll be using that here for our last one. So I'll be getting started on that here in just a little bit. But hi, Sarah and Thea. Thank you so much for coming on over with me to YouTube today. So anybody who's watching, like I say, feel free to drop any questions in the chat. And in the meantime, I will start showing off some of these goodies. So what is the United States of YouTube? Well, basically, YouTube decided to put together a map of the United States and find creators in every state that they thought kind of represented different aspects of YouTube or that state itself, and highlight those in this really cool interactive map that they put together. And we were incredibly fortunate. Moogly happened to be one of the 3 companies chosen to represent Iowa. It was myself, another creator who focuses kind of on farming and recipe content, which was really cool. And then Better Homes and Gardens, which is actually based here in Iowa, something I hadn't realized until recently myself. So that was very cool. And so that happened, I want to say a couple months ago. It's been in the works for a little while. Very exciting. But then, they announced all these, and I kind of shared some links across social media and here and there. And then I got a call the other day, or well, a couple weeks ago now, from YouTube and our local newspaper. And they wanted to interview me for the local newspaper, which was very exciting. I always say it's really hard to explain because YouTube is this big, international thing. It's very, very worldwide, etc. But I do think there's something special, and maybe I'm showing my age here, but I do think there's something special about being featured in your local newspaper. I don't know. It's, you be featured here and there, and you might send a link to your parents, but you save a copy of that paper for your mom, right? So I was very fortunate and very blessed to be featured in our local paper, the Quad City Times, with a really beautiful article. And so I thought I'd go ahead and show that off today as well. But in the meantime, then, YouTube sent me a box. And I was like, what is this? And then they sent me an email, and they said, please unbox it live. And I said, okay. Because unboxings are fun, and presents are fun, and presents from YouTube are fun. So I have this box, which was blessed by our neighbor puppy, Lizzie, who decided to come over and see what it was also about. Fortunately, I think everything's fine, but she had to come be involved too. So here is the box, and hi everybody. Oh, good. Hi, Gloria. Oh gosh, Gloria, I see that you are recovering. I am glad you are here too, and I hope you feel better soon. I hope you get lots of rest over the holidays. And hi, Linda, and everybody. Thank you so much. All right, well, let's bring in the over-the-head hand camera here so we can see what's inside this box, which is probably going to be kind of difficult to open once we switch cameras here, but we'll see what we can do. There we are. There's the box. There's our neighbor puppy saying hello. And I realize now I have it upside down. So I did go ahead and cut open the very opening just so we wouldn't have to struggle with that on camera. Woo! And there it is. Okay, I have to get to where I can see it on screen here to make sure that we're centered. So United States of YouTube, very cool. I wish I'm trying to think, how do I open this without ripping the sticker? Because it's so cool. Oh gosh. We'll just have to be kind of careful here. Am I crazy? All right, let's just rip the sticker. I gotta find out what's inside. Oh my goodness. There we go. Alrighty. So, speaking of local newspapers, there is some newspaper. Very love that. Love the, eco-conscious stuffing. Very nice. Got a little card here with a little wax seal. How cool is that? feel like I need to save the wax seal like Taskmaster. Does anybody else watch that Taskmaster show on YouTube? So fun. Oh, well, this is really nice. It's just a little note from YouTube there. And then what do we have here? We've got, oh, it's a beanie. How cool. United States of YouTube. This is hilarious because when I first started my YouTube channel, I kept threatening my, at the time, teenager that she was going to have to wear a hat to school that says, ask me about my mom's YouTube channel. And here we are. Now we've got the United States of YouTube beanie, which she would probably try and steal from me now. But I think I'm going to be keeping this one for myself. That's really nice. It's even fleece lined. All right. What else is in here? Then it feels like, ooh, a heavy duty mug. United States of YouTube again. It's a Yeti. Love those, honestly. First time I got a Yeti was as a gift, and I'm a convert, I'll admit it. But yes, we've got a United States of YouTube mug. How cool. Thank you so much, YouTube. That's awesome. I think that's it. Yes, the rest is just fluffy, boxy stuff, which then I'll have to put one of the kids' presents in here and really confuse them this year. Haha. There we go. Let me try and move that back out of the way here. Big box. But thank you so much to YouTube for this. This has been such an adventure, so exciting, and an absolute pleasure. So we'll definitely be enjoying these here in the coming months for sure. Got my coffee hat now. I've got my coffee and my hat to keep me warm. Very cool. So then, like I say, I got to be in the local paper about it, so I wanted to go ahead and show that off just a little bit too. It was very cool. We got right on the front cover there, Slip Stitching to Fame. And then I think it was on, what was it? A9. Let's see here. I know, this is exciting, right? You guys turned into YouTube to read the newspaper with me, but here we go. Old media and new media, right? So there it is. And it was just so nice. So yeah, I did not expect that title. I can tell you that for sure. That was an absolutely shock to me. But this is the chair I'm literally sitting in right now. I've got this pillow and blanket right behind me, and that's on the shelf behind me. And yeah, so it was just such an absolute treat and honor to be featured like that. And absolutely, I saved a copy of that for my mom. So thank you again to YouTube and everybody else following me on this channel and everywhere else, of course. It has been such an absolute honor and pleasure. So with all that, thank you guys. Thank you. Oh, Brianna, you went to get one at Hy-Vee. That's funny because that's where I went too. And I too had to go multiple places because Hy-Vee was out. So it must have been a very popular day for the article. So thank you so much, you guys. All right, awesome. So all that said, enough about me. Let's talk about this blanket. We've got one more square to add, and I just have to find where my spot is now. I think I went for the wrong end. I did. Here we are. This year, I took my 24 squares, and I did a 4 square by 6 square layout. I posted that probably earlier let's say it's only Tuesday, so it would have been last week. I posted that last week on my Instagram stories. Basically, I was fortunate enough to have cleaned the basement recently, or rather, Jeff cleaned the basement recently, and we had some floor space, so I was able to really lay out all my squares in the design I wanted and then just add them right there from the floor. But I have just this one square left to add. So the last square I'm going to be adding is this one. I'll be honest, I meant to look up and see who designed this one, and I don't recall off the top of my head. There's been so many beautiful designs over the years from so many amazing designers. I have genuinely lost track of who did this particular one, but it's really lovely, and it's going to be our final one for this year. If you are just now finding out about the Moogly Crochet Along and you love these squares you're seeing in front of you, even though 2021 is wrapping up, these squares will stay up. You can go to the Moogly Pinterest board and get the patterns for all these. Is probably the easiest way if you want to be able to pick and choose and kind of see them. Or you can go right to Moogly and follow along with Crochet Along there. All those links stay up from every year. The first couple years, I didn't know to tell people to always, I didn't know to put in a caveat that your pattern has to stay up, etc. Now I know, so their patterns should be up long term. Although, of course, if somebody did decide to just take them away, I couldn't really chase them down for it either. So those patterns, however, should stay up for the foreseeable future. So time to add my last square. How do I do that? I'm using my green to join, as I did my final rounding green on all my squares. Makes it real nice and easy. And then over the years, I have found that the best way, the best method, without trying to actually count how many stitches you've got on each side for every square and then finding some big average. The first year I did that, I did all the math, and it's worked for me every year since. I want basically a loop in each corner, and then I want 13 chain 2, skip 2, ideally, loops along the side. So if you counted from the corner, it'd be 1, and then 13 more, and then 1 more in the corner. So let me show you what that looks like. And here's how I do it, genuinely, without worrying or counting out too much, without too much stress. Because when it comes time to join my squares together, I just want to relax, put on some Netflix, you know, maybe some YouTube, and just join my squares. So I start in whatever corner I wanted to start in. This pattern, or this square, excuse me, doesn't really seem to have a direction to it. I'm not worried about where it's going to lay in the blanket directionally. So luckily I don't have to worry about that. So I can just pick any random corner. I'm going to join with my single crochet. Then I'm going to do kind of a really loose chain 2, and then single crochet right back in that same corner. So that's my first loop. But now I want to have 13 more before I get, basically I want, when I finish that 13th one, I want to land in that opposite corner there. So without counting ahead, I'm going to start just chain 2, skip 2, single crochet in the next. And that's just what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to count and see how many loops I have. Do I need to maybe skip 3 because I've got too many loops? Do I need to maybe only skip 1 a couple times because I don't have enough loops? If it was just 1 square, I would probably sit down and do the math, but because it's 24 squares, and like I say, I just like to sit and relax and crochet these, I prefer to just kind of wing it as I go for these. It really does seem to work for me year over year. So thank you all so much. I really appreciate all the wonderful comments and support, you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Like I say, if you've got any questions now about crochet, about crafts, about the holidays, about the Moogly Crochet Along, feel free to ask those now. I will be going live right here again on December 30th of 2021, specifically about the Crochet Along. Hopefully then I will have finished my border. I'll have my blanket all finished. And so I'll be able to show that off, and then also hopefully have the yarns in hand for 2022 and be able to show those off and then share, you know, the schedule and all the details and everything you guys will need to know. Well, this is beautiful. This happens often, which is why this number has worked for me so well over the years, but it doesn't always happen. I've got chain 2, skip 2, and that lands me right in the corner. But do we have the right number of loops? That's what we have to go back and check. So I always start counting in the corner and then count to 14 for some reason. It's just a personal habit. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can already tell it looks like we're going to be maybe 1 short. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We're actually 2 short. So that means we need to make up 6 stitches because each of these repeats is 3. So that means out of those 13 loops, we're only going to skip one of them about 6 times. So like I know, it sounds kind of crazy, but I've been doing this for so many years. It's kind of a real rough math. So I'm going to go ahead, and I've got my loops on the corner, chain 2, skip 2. This time I'm going to still chain 2. I always still want to chain 2, but I'm just going to skip 1. Then I'll chain 2, skip 2, then I'll chain 2, and just skip 1. See if repeating this doesn't get me real close to the number of loops that I need to have. Merry Christmas, Joyce. Thank you so much. Yeah, let me know what you guys are planning for the holidays, or if you've already gotten your colors picked out for the Moogly Crochet Along 2022. If you want to join in this year, let me know what colors you guys are using and how many. That's always, it's always kind of the hard part to figure out, honestly. The patterns will come and they'll be what they'll be, so you don't have to pick and choose those, but picking and choosing those colors that you're going to want to be crocheting with for a whole year can be a lot to think about. I know by the end of each year, I'm ready for a new palette for sure. So let's see here. I think this is going to work out pretty well, but we're back to our other corner here. So I'm going to go ahead and put my single crochet in there, and now we'll see if we've got the right number of loops. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. That's including that one at the corner. So 1 at the corner and 13 across. I got just the right number by basically skipping 2, then 1, 2, then 1, all the way across. Skip 2 on the last one. Now we've got our 14 loops. So now I know how my pattern is going to work across for all the other sides, and I've got that established. So now it's time to start joining this square to the other squares. So here I have my blanket. It's going to go in this corner, and because I am right-handed, oh, excuse me for a second. We had a little phone call coming in on the phone we use for our camera. Oops. All right, so now that I've hit that, okay, so this is where I need to start joining, because we're going to join to this side and then to this side, because I'm right-handed. If I was left-handed, I'd probably join to here and then go across this way. So I need to turn my blanket so it's facing the direction. And of course, at this point, it's a big old blanket. It's on our last square, so give me a second here. We've got a little bit of weight to deal with as well. I have been doing this just sitting on the floor, so. Oh, alrighty. So here is the corner that I want to join to. So I can fill in this last corner of the blanket. So I am going to take my square and get it lined up on my hook again here. There we are. All right, so got my square. I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to pull that loop up and put it over my finger. Come down here and find the corner that I want to join to. And right there. And you can see this one got a little wacky here. There were places where looks like maybe I skipped 3 there at the end to make it work. However you have to do to make it work. The main thing is to have the same number of loops. So I find the chain 2 corner loop here for this one. Insert my hook right into that loop. Drop the active loop of my new square right back on my hook and pull that down. Pull that loop right on through. Chain 1. So now they're attached. I've enclosed that corner in that stitch. Then I'm going to chain 1 again. An extra stitch in the corner here. The corners tend to become really tight, so I've started throwing extra stitches in there. And over the years, I've actually been experimenting a little bit with how many stitches to add. And this year, I think I've got it, but we'll see. Next year, I might alter it just a little bit again. So now we go right back into that corner to finish off the corner loop now. So now we're ready to start crocheting along this side and connecting to this side of this square. Let me try and straighten that out just a little bit more here. Just got our little table here that we're working on. So to connect this as I go, I'm going to chain 1, pull that loop up over my finger, find the next chain 2 loop along the side there, insert my hook right in that loop, drop the loop back over my finger, pull that loop through, and chain 1. This time I'm just going to stop there. I'm not going to chain again because we're not on a corner. Now I remember my repeat that I did along that first side. So first I'll skip 2 and single crochet in the next. Then I'll chain 1, drop that on my finger, insert my hook right into that next loop, drop that on my hook, pull it through, chain 1, skip 1 this time because that's the way it happened to work for this square, and single crochet in the next stitch. Chain 1, drop it on my finger, find the next stitch, or loop rather, drop the loop back on, pull it through, chain 1, skip however many stitches you need to skip, single crochet in the next stitch. So once you get going, it is pretty darn quick, and you can just really kind of whip right through these for the most part, except I need to pull up some more yarn. But when we get to the corner, I think that's one of the trickier things. And when I was first making videos, I've been making videos for a long time. You know, if you go back on my YouTube channel, I've been making videos for 9 years now. But I think when I first made a video for this technique, I wasn't as confident of a teacher. You know, over the last 9 years, I've learned a lot too, being on YouTube and making videos. So sometimes I worry that my video for this may have been a little bit more confusing. I think I've just gotten more comfortable going a little bit long form. You know, our first videos, a lot of them were stitch tutorials, so they were very, very quick. And that was something we were praised for quite a bit. But some things just take a little bit more time to explain. And I think that was something I needed to learn for myself as well. So hi, everybody. Just coming back and checking our comments here. The Procrastinator, what a great name. What are we making? We are adding the last square, the Moogly Crochet Along 2021 blanket. Our last square came out right before American Thanksgiving, the day before American Thanksgiving. So that gives everybody who participates in the Crochet Along the last month of the year to finish up their blanket, connect their squares, and of course, concentrate on all the other things we need to do at the end of the year as well. And then we'll start again on January 6th with another Crochet Along for 2022. It'll be another 12-inch squares blanket like the one I'm finishing up here, but with 24 new designs by 24 designers. So thank you, Chris. I do too. It's so simple. It's not as lacy as some joins, which, you know, is just a matter of taste, but I like it a little bit closer. I like my blankets to be a little bit more solid. For instance, one of the rules that I made for the designers a couple years ago is that I asked them to stay away from squares that are overly holy. I said, if you can get 3 fingers in that hole, then you can get your toe through it. And nobody wants to see their toes sticking through their blanket all the time. I mean, some of those lacy ones are really nice for, like a lacy blanket is a really pretty throw over the back of the couch or something. But these are some big, hefty blankets, and I wanted them to be really practical as well. So I like this join because it's not as lacy as some other joins, but as you can see with this, you know, odd repeat that I came up for the square, very, very forgiving as well. Very forgiving. I've had squares where, you know, I've had to skip a bunch combined with next to squares where I had to, you know, add a bunch in order to get all those loops on there, and they still work out beautifully next to each other with this join. It really is just that flexible in my experience. So we're almost to the corner here. Got just the last few to join. And one thing I always think about if I start to worry that I've, you know, missed something or missed my place or whatever loop I'm making, I join to that loop of the other square. So like right now, I can look at my square and say I am making one last loop before I get to the corner. So the loop that I join to needs to be over here, the last loop before the corner. So I know I'm in the right spot. So I can just drop that right back on there, make that one, and that lands us right in this corner. Now this is where things can get a little bit tricky because we are joining to, get it straightened out here again. We are joining to this square where we've been joining all along, but then we also need to join to this square right here because we're in that final corner here. We don't need to join to this square, the one that's kitty corner or catty corner, depending on where in the country you're from. This one right here, we don't need to join to this one. We need to join to this one and this one. Okay, so how do we do that? I'm going to start with the chain 1 and drop that loop on my finger. Now I find the corner for the one I've been joining to right here. Just really take my time and find it right there. You can see it's joined to this guy right here. I'm going to insert my hook in the corner space for that one. Drop that loop right over the top. Pull it through. And really kind of loosely chain 1. Then I'm going to drop that loop on my finger again. Oop, there we go. Didn't want to drop. Now I need to find the corner of this other square, the other one I'm going to be joining to finish off the blanket. So I'm going to take my time, pull it apart, and find that corner space right there. So I'm going to insert my hook right in that corner, drop that loop back on my hook, and pull it through. Do another really sort of generous slip stitch around it. Then chain 1 again. There we are. And come back down and single crochet in the corner of the square we're adding. There we are. So now you can see, if I straighten it out here, what that corner looks like. We did that join right up along there, chain 1, join to this corner, then join to that corner, then chain 1 again, and single crochet back in the corner of the square we're joining. We don't have to worry about joining over here. What this does is it creates this really beautiful little square or diamond right where the squares all come together. Let me pull that loop up here so I don't lose my stitches a little bit. There we go. And then I can pull up one that I did before without my fingers in the way as much. So you can see there, it just creates that really beautiful little square where all those squares come together right there in the corner. So I absolutely love this join for that. So thank you, Thea, and Adorably Crafty. This is, great question. This is Red Heart with Love. It is absolutely one of my favorite blanket to use for this crochet along. Lots of reasons. It is a worsted weight, so, you know, a great basic weight, easily available for whatever brands you have available near you. We've got lots of people who make this blanket across the world, and of course, not everybody can get a hold of the same brands of yarn. And then the other reasons I use it is because it comes in tons of colors. It is pretty readily available here in the US, and it's really easily washable. It's really easy care. It's washable, it's dryable. My kids have been using the blankets from the crochet along, because I've been doing this crochet along since 2014. So they've used these blankets as forts, as, you know, picnic blankets, as, you know, all over the house. The dogs love them, the kids love them, and they hold up. Honestly, they hold up so beautifully. They really will last forever. And Red Heart with Love, I think, has a really nice feel to it. I really enjoy using it. So that is the yarn I'm using. So we've got our corner connected. Now we're going to continue down the other side, joining to this guy now. So it's the same thing. We chain one, drop that on our finger, turn our blanket if we need to, kind of get it all re-straightened out here a little bit. I'm knocking some pens off the table. That's okay. And then we find that next chain two space there, insert our hook, and we're off and running down the other side. Same thing. Just need to maintain or think about whatever pattern it was that I came up here for this side so that we get those same number of loops. And of course, sometimes I screw up and I don't get the right number of loops, and then I just pull it back out and do it again. But this is our last square. So after this, then I will probably start adding the border. I haven't really decided what border I'm going to use for this one yet. In past years, a couple times I've invented different borders or designed different borders. This year, I don't know, I'm kind of feeling like these year's designs are calling for something a little simpler. I don't know, just a feeling. I feel like these designs this year were really colorful and beautiful, and I just feel like my blanket wants to have a little simpler border to it this year. So I'm not sure exactly what that will look like yet. Might just be some simple double crochet or something. Let's see. The Procrastinator says, I recently made your ripple shawl. I even use the same colors. I love it. Oh, thank you so much. And yes, this is absolutely Red Heart with Love. I use it for the crochet along for the last couple years, and I will be using it again for next year's crochet along. I actually had most of the colors for next year on hand, but except for I think one, and I didn't have quite enough of another. So I've got those ordered. So fingers crossed, I will have those by the 30th so that I can share them with you guys. And then of course, get started on that first square, because that will be coming out January 6th. So it is a really fun thing. We've been doing this crochet along since 2014, which is a really long time. I was counting that up the other day and realizing just how long that is. And yeah, most of the squares are still available out there if you want to grab from past years, kind of put your own together based off past year's crochet alongs, follow along for 2021, excuse me, 2022. Gonna have to switch that in my head, moving to a new year here. You know, mix and match, make the ones you want to make it a bigger blanket. In past years, something I've done a lot is I've added a 25th square so that I could make a 5x5 blanket, but you can do however you like. It is a pretty loosey-goosey crochet along, but I think it's a lot of fun because you do get to experience designs from different designers. And I think we all learn a lot. I know I do. It's a great chance for me to follow other people's patterns, which isn't something I otherwise get to do a whole lot. So I feel like I learn a lot by following those patterns as well. Do the squares come with tutorials? Depends. Some do, some don't. The designers all own the copyright to their patterns. I'm not taking those away from them. The designers own their patterns. They're just, you know, participating in the crochet along. So some of them make their own tutorials. A lot of them have a lot of photo tutorials, even row by row tutorials, which is always great. Some of them make video tutorials. Whenever there is a tutorial that I have available for any of the individual stitches, well, you know, I mean, I have double crochet tutorials, but I don't bother linking those. But for any of the more unusual stitches, I always link those in my post about the crochet along as well. And then, like I say, some of the designers do make video tutorials as well, and you can always request that from them. And beyond that, then there is the Moogly, trying to think Moogly Afghan the Moogly Afghan Crochet Along group. I'm probably screwing up the name. There's a couple different groups there, but that group is so invaluable for help with the squares. Like if you get stuck on anything, you've got a bunch of people right there making it at the same time you are, and odds are somebody else has had the same question and possibly already figured it out. So it is just an absolutely great resource if you feel like you need more help with any of the squares, or you just want to show off your finished squares as you make them. That Facebook group is such a wonderful, wonderful place. So let's see here. I have worked all the way down. I just put my single crochet in this corner here for our last square, but I haven't connected to this corner here of the square next to it yet. So I need to, I've chained one, insert my hook right in there, get that loop back on my hook and pull it through, chain one. And now because we're at a corner, I'm going to chain one again and then finish it off with my single crochet right back in that corner. So that is what it looks like there right along the edge. So now I do need to go ahead, even though I don't have any squares that I'm going to be connecting along this edge, I do want to go ahead and still work these chain 2 loops along this edge so that I can have those chain 2 loops to work my border into. I mean, I guess if you really wanted to, you could plot it out and just not add the chain 2 loops or your joining stitches to the other sides of your squares and just leave those plain. It's not something I've done in the past, but I think it's absolutely a possibility. If you wanted to plan that out that way, you could. I tend to just go ahead and put them all the way around and then find a border that sort of works with those chain 2 loops. They're pretty easy to work whatever stitches you like into if you want to have some fun with those borders and edgings. Yes, there are patterns for all of these. There are patterns for all of these squares. There's a pattern for the tight braid join. If you go to the blog post that is linked in the description, it is the first blog post on Moogly blog as I speak. That'll get bumped down, of course, as more posts are added. But if you go to the link in the description, there is a link there to the Crochet Along square, and the last Crochet Along square always has links to all of the squares for that year. I know that sounds kind of confusing, but it's a Crochet Along, and as each new square is added, let me try that again. As each new square is added, I add that link to that next post. So you can always go back and sort of go backwards through the Crochet Along, or like I say, pick and choose. The tight braid join is a free pattern on mooglyblog.com. Let's see, just making sure I'm not losing track. But yes, there's patterns for all the squares as well as this join. But as you can see, you know, this join is very flexible, so it's not so much like a hard and fast pattern as an idea. You can come up with the number of loops you need for the project you're working on to connect to the thing next to it. And then we connect them with those loops. There we are. So now since this is our final side and I was kind of chatting and I didn't have loops to join to, I want to make sure that I got the same number here just so that it lays really nicely and evenly across our squares. We've got 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and yep, 14. That would be the last one I'm making right now. So rather than joining to that first single crochet I made, when I joined into this square, I'm going to go ahead and cut my yarn and just give a pull up on that thread, put my hook aside. All done with that for now. And just get that yarn on my needle. I really prefer to finish off when I'm working in the round with a needle rather than with a slip stitch. Slip stitches are great, but they do tend to create a small lump, so I avoid having them there at the end when I can. A little bit more advanced technique, but very simply I'm going to take my needle, go right under that first chain at that corner, and just pull that right through, insert it back into that last chain I made in our row, and pull that tight so it's together. There we are. So then that just disappears right in there, and I don't have a little slip knot in there. Not usually a big deal, especially on something like a blanket. You know, not a pair of slippers where you're going to be stepping on them or anything, but just a little bit neater edge to me. It avoids the little jog you can get sometimes when you put that last slip stitch in. So now I have a ton of ends to weave in. Approximately 2 for every square, plus occasionally one that I maybe left for the end of, left on the square for future me to have to deal with. But now all I need to do is add that edging. So, and I've got these great chain 2 loops. So it's very easy to add like a scallop stitch edging if you want to, or like I say, just something really plain like double crochet. I think I might use the twisted, maybe I'll use the twisted double crochet on this. I really like that idea. Um, let me take a couple stitches here, and I think I'll stay with green because I ended up with a lot of leftover green for this year, which was kind of weird, but I think I just stocked up a little bit more. So let's see. I think what I want to try, let's go ahead and just join to one of these chain 2 sections. I'm going to join with a double crochet, but can I twisted single crochet with a standing double crochet? Not something I've tried to do before, literally watching me think this through live. So if I spin it like that, will this work? I don't know. Let's find out. Does that work? I don't know if that works. I'm not sure if that one works for this one. Let's try a different starting for this. Let's start with a chain 2 that we won't count as a stitch. I think that'll work a little better. And I'm going to yarn over, go right into that chain 2 space for a double crochet. Now I'm going to stop with my 2 loops left on my hook and spin and finish that off. So I would want, I think, 2 of these. Now let's do 3 of these in each chain 2 space and skip those single crochets. I love crocheting into the chain space. It's just so quick. So I'll spin. And there's a 3rd one. So let's do the next section, and then we'll see how those look. This is literally how I do it when it comes time to adding the border. I just play and see what I think looks good. If I think it needs more color, I'll figure something out with some more colors in it. Other than that, it's just time to have fun with it. And I love seeing everybody's finished blankets because everybody really does finish them off differently. There we go. So now let's see, how does that look? Now that we've done a couple of them and we can get a good look at it. I like it. I don't know. It's a little lacy because of the gap right there, because I did 3 rather than just doing 2 in each stitch or 2 in each chain space and working 1 in the stitch. I did 3 in the chain space and skipped over the stitch. But it's a little different. I kind of like it. I think I might continue going with this one. So I think that's what I'm going to be doing then for the border for this one. It is very simple, as you can see. One of my favorite techniques. Gives you the look of a crab stitch without having to work backwards. You just start a double crochet, stop with 2 loops on the hook, spin, and pull through. So I think I will just continue working this all the way around for my border. It'll be a great use for the rest of my green. It's got some great motion and sort of texture to it, but it's not going to take away from the designs in the blanket itself. So I think that will be my border for our 2021 blanket. So yay! Oh, I'm so glad you found it, Procrastinator. Thank you. And Thea, you did this finishing technique on a Christmas stocking. Yeah, it's a good one. I believe, trying to remember. Yeah, this is the same technique too that I believe I used to attach at the sleeves for the batwing lace crochet sweater, which is a free pattern on Moogly. I used the tight braid joining technique on that pattern in a really fun way. It adds some really great detailing right along the sleeves. I love doing little things like that are practical because we were going to have to seam up those sleeves anyway, but it also adds just a little extra interest. And it's something different. It's not your usual way of seaming up your crochet sleeves. So there we are. Now we've got a good 4 sections here. Seeing what that looks like. I like it. So I think then when I come to the corner here, probably just going to go ahead and probably do 5 in there. 5 seems like a good number to get us around the corner. We'll see how that lays here. So there's 1. Try the second one. I'm going for a 3rd one. Oop. Spin it around here. This hook is beautifully slick, but occasionally very slick. There we go. All right, just a couple more to go here. And was that? Yep, that was 4. So if I do 1 more, I think it'll be enough. Maybe I might need 6 though. literally just a matter of trying it out and seeing how it looks. Yeah, I think that 5 gets us around that corner really beautifully. So then I'll just continue and put 3 each of those sections around. And that's how I will be finishing off the rest of my Moogly 2021 crochet along blanket. And I need to get this finished up so we can get started on 2022 very soon. So, oh, sorry about that. Yes, there's so many techniques. I went over so many things. You were referring to the needle instead of the slip stitch. Yes, it's absolutely one of my favorite finishing techniques. It really just gives a really great finish where it looks like any other stitch there from the top. So I love that. It's kind of detailing that, I would say only another crocheter would notice, but when you see it, how it can bug you. So it's really great to have a fix for that. So thank you so much, the procrastinator. I really appreciate that you saying that. That crocodile stitch class I did with Craftsy was so much fun. And I'm hoping to work with them again in the future here. Craftsy, as you may know, is under new ownership now, a company called TN Marketing, and they seem really great. So it was actually Craftsy that hooked me up with craft tours, so that I will be leading a trip to Ireland in June with craft tours as a Craftsy instructor. And I say leading, I'll be teaching a couple workshops, and other than that, I'll be wandering around with the rest of you because I've never been to Ireland before, and I am super excited to go as well. So thank you so much, guys. I glance away and then I get all tangled. Thank you, Thea, and thank you, Amy and Minnie. Yes, time to begin on next year's projects indeed, but we'll get there. One day at a time. Got to make it through this week first. So that is the border I think I'll be doing for this year. So thank you so much, guys. I think I'm going to go ahead and let you go. It's been a good 40 minutes or so. But thank you so much for joining me today. We'll go ahead and come back to the other camera here. And there we go. All right. So I just want to say happy holidays, and I really appreciate all your comments and likes and subscribes and everything over the past years. Thank you again to YouTube for making Moogly part of the United States of YouTube. It's been an amazing way to finish off a crazy year. 2021's been nuts. And yeah, I can't wait to see what 2022 holds. I think it'll be great. I'm looking forward to going to Ireland in June. I'm looking forward to going to the Chainlink conference in July. So excited. Those are both a ways out, so I feel good about it. And I hope everybody has a really safe and healthy Christmas and New Year's, of course. Stay safe out there. And, just have a wonderful day. Thank you all so much. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Happy whatever you're celebrating this week and next. And I will talk to you all again soon. Have a great day, everybody.